Okay, so now for our Thursday night week 4 item, we're going to continue this crash course. I'm going to have you add some CSS to your GitHub page. So we'll take some of these things that you're learning with CSS and we'll apply it to your GitHub pages. Later we'll change this to where it'll be your project, but for now it's just learning more about it. And then your current topics is what I would call one of the classic videos on the web. I'm wondering how many of you have actually seen it. It's pretty old, but the story behind it is actually almost as interesting as the video. But if you have or haven't, I want you to watch this, right? And then find at least 2 terms you want to know more about, right? So in this case, I want you to, because there's a lot of different, this is not any words, it's all visual about, how we move from text written down to digital text to search engines to content generated by users. Just a lot of concepts that are fundamental to the web that we know today. So 150 words, 2 replies on this one. Okay, so let me come back to here. So now we're going to continue the course. I was just looking at what he was doing here in the second half, and you are going to end up doing an image, right, which is cool. That's fun, and it might be fun for you to actually, in this case, add an image of yourself or something that you might find fun here to do that in your GitHub pages. But I'm just going to show you how I want you to set up, and then I want you to spend a little time here getting creative, right? So you've learned some CSS now, and now I want you to apply it to your actual page. Okay, and I just played around for a few minutes just giving you the flavor of what you need to do, and I want to see kind of like the same level of like 2 boxes and some bullet points and an image of yourself or those check marks, just knowing that you know how to do what you've learned in the crash course. Okay, so you'll finish out the last half of the crash course and then work on this, which is the CSS. Did I write any text here? I might need to do this. Maybe I haven't yet. Yeah, I'll just write some on here after I finish. Okay, so let me move over to my editor real quick and just show you what I did. Is first I opened up my repo that is for my GitHub pages, something we haven't done the GitHub workflow on. I do have some changes I've made. So you can see this as I did the same structure when I created we already had the index file, so I just updated it. And then you create a subdirectory. And again, this is a repeat of last on Monday, so if you're unsure, go back and check that out. And then create a style CSS file. And then in your HTML file, link to that, do a link rel to that CSS file. And then I'll show you this in a minute. I decided, and I think this is good to do, is to actually use Google Fonts, because you're going to see this more when we get to Bootstrap, and again when we use the Bootstrap template for Project 0. So it's good to look at it now, and I'll show you how to do that. And then, like I said, I just did a very beginning. You'll want to have more content than this, but I just did it to play around. So that's that part of it, right? So let me show you my rendered page. It's not much, it's just right. So but again, I want you to have at least 2 of those boxes, and then some bullet points, and then play around with adding your image. I haven't done it here, but it's not that bad. You could just add an images directory, right? I like IMJ, he uses images. Is that right? No, that's not right. So actually this is good to look at this. So in this case, I meant to put this at the same level. And this is very common when you're just getting used to creating directories in the editor. And so there's a couple things I can do. I think one thing I can do is just drag it down and it'll move it. And what it does is it moves it to that same level. Okay, so then in here I can put my image and then play around with placing it into my page. All right. So just showing you that. And then let me show you Google Fonts real quick. So I went to Google Fonts and I just looked around to see what they had. They have some really great fonts. I wouldn't get too crazy adding more than 1 or 2 at the most, just because these do add weight to your page when you're actually doing full pages that are for production level stuff. You have to really think about how much of these you use. But as an example, if this is one you wanted and it shows a size specific to this font, right, regular 400, and actually I think that's the weight of the font, not this actual size. There's different styles of these you can do. So this is the one I used. So then all I do here, oh, is I'd already added it. So all you do is once you find one, you hit add, and then you get this little message. And when you click down here, now in this case I have two selected, so I might want to get rid of one. So this is the code you want to add into your index.html, which references Google Fonts and then tells it which font family. And then in your CSS file, you would add this as the font family if you were adding it to the whole page, or then if you're adding it to just to, as an example, the H1s, you could do that. So you don't have to download from anything here. All you'd have to do is move over to your CSS file, and you can see here I included the Google fonts here in my style. I included it, so I ended up making a Google font that was for all the fonts in my page. Okay. All right, so again, I want you to do more content. I'm just showing you the layout, or at least the way I've applied these particular things, and I want you to do more content and get as creative as you'd like here. Make sure you have those two boxes, some bullet points, and you should be good to go. And so here we're going to do the workflow. Let me just do a clear again. Again, I can see my visual cues that I do have some files that need to be added. So I'm in my directory here, so I can just do, by the way, the other way you can do an add is get add star. Now the only time I caution using this get add star is if when you do a get status, you happen to have included accidentally a lot of files from, like, you'd copied into the wrong, like I've had this happen to students. They created a repo on the desktop. They had a lot of files and folders on the desktop. It ended up, because of that, it was created at the same level, including all those desktop files. So don't do that. So only time I would caution against using this is if you see files in here that you don't know that you added that somehow are in there. So I'm going to do get add star. Get status. So what that allows me to do is, instead of individually adding them, I can just add anything that's outstanding or anything that needs to be added and staged to the same thing. So in this case I could do get commit, right? And updating my GitHub pages site, right? Good, so I've done that, and so now, right, again, I'm good to go here. My get status is that I'm ahead, that my master, right, my origin, and then my destination, which is the GitHub pages, out on GitHub. So now I do get push, right, and so boom. Oh, I must be logged in as somebody else. Okay, I know what I gotta do. Anyway, that's not that you shouldn't run into that. That's only because of the way I have in the past set up my GitHub pages, so I'll just have to do that another way. But when you do that, you should get the same message we got before, and then you'll go out. In this case now, once you do that, you can go out to your GitHub pages, right? Now mine they're not going to show, right? Because I'll do that push. Matter of fact, let me hold on. I'll just do that real quick. Okay, so that was, I don't think something you'll run into. I do, because in the past I've used my student account, and then GitHub doesn't like it when you have multiple. It's not that it doesn't like it, it requires more setup when you have multiple GitHub usernames. So I ended up having to get around that issue. So I was able to publish it out to my GitHub pages. It just took a few more steps that I don't think you'll need. But just FYI, because I think it's good to know, is sometimes if you're having problems with command line, as a backup, what you can do is install the, like there's a app or a web interface, a GUI interface for GitHub to push changes to GitHub from local. But I only do this in cases where I have an issue, because this allows you to easily have two accounts, two GitHub accounts. But I hope you won't run into that. Okay, so let's see where we're at. I need to write just a little here. Again, I want you to apply this, not the same CSS, because I want you to be creative here. I want you to use the CSS that you have now learned and update your GitHub pages and then share. So in this case, you won't have to do a reply, but just share. Share your link, right? So share your link out to your site once you have it updated. All right, so I think that's good. I think that's good for this week. That way we have week 4 ready to flow. Let me just review one more time to make sure I got everything. Yep, looks good. All right, talk to you later. Bye.